Good evening, everyone. Once again, we are hosting the Growth Hour via Reinvention Center, Breaking Silence, and Sail with Sippy. Tonight, we are doing part two of emotional intelligence. We decided to come back and have a part two because of the overwhelming response that we received to part one. And, so we wanted to, bring the people what they would like and, and give them information that they're seeking. Before we get into the show, I would like to do some little housekeeping first, which is I would like to remind everyone that we have a petition up for Miss Dr. Carmen Johnson. If you are unaware of where it's at, you can look on my page, Lisa Riley's personal page, Breaking Silence, Sail with Sippy, or Maurice Clifton's page, and sign it. I believe Dr. Carmen Johnson has a page. If not, if you can't find it, do reach out to us. We're not asking anyone to donate any funds or do anything. We're just asking you to sign. On that platform, it will ask you to donate something to further push the platform. Please know that money does not go to Dr. Carmen or anything associated to her in any means or any fashion. So we're not encouraging you to donate. We're only asking and encouraging you to sign the petition and share it. You can share it as an alternative to donating. Share it, please. For the people who have shared it and have signed it, please share it again so we can get some more signatures. We are trying to help correct this injustice and that has happened to an everyday citizen. Not saying that anybody deserves to be in jail, but I will say this is a young lady who got up one day to continue to do what she done all her life, which is go to her business and help people. And she was arrested for something that she believed in and wouldn't be quiet about. So please sign the petition. With that being said, I want everyone to know that the petition is in the comment on Facebook. Lisa Riley has put it in the comment on Facebook. If anybody on the panel would like to know, I'm going to ask Lisa Riley to put it on the panel in the chat so everybody can go to it at that point and actually take care of it. With that being said, I'm anxious to get to this topic. I've been waiting all week for this, and so we're going to dive right on into this. Good evening, Ms. Foster. Again, Ms. Foster is the individual that is our professional, our expert in this area. So we want to give acknowledgments, kudos, and appreciation to her for taking her time out to, share her information with us. With that, I want to say good evening, Ms. Foster.
Good evening, Mr. Jones. How are you today?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well.
Well, I'm glad to have you. We kind of left off on the relationships aspect of the emotional intelligence, and to give I'm going, if you don't mind, I would like to particularly speak on something that was said last week that was important to me. What I got out of that is I got several things out of it. Let me say it that way. But the main thing is communication. One of the things was communication, and without communication, there's nothing. And that's what people have to understand. I don't care if you're, and I'm not only speaking of relationships with this communication phase. That goes in any type of relationship with your parents, your child, your boss, whatever. If your communication is not on point, your message is not going to be delivered, and then you're going to be misunderstood. So we have to work on our communication. With that, I would ask, is there any particular thing that you would like to add to the relationships with significant others and regarding emotional intelligence?
Well, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Jones, and everyone that's on here today for allowing me to come back and be a part of your platform. And I just want to thank God for the opportunity to be here. Last week was such an exciting day. We had a great topic to discuss emotional intelligence. And I learned a lot myself just by hearing other people's opinions and, everybody just giving feedback about their experiences. And so back to the question, Mr. Jones, you said, is there anything that I would like to add? Communication is the key, just like you spoke about, and just like you just said. The other point that I would like to make as well is being able to listen. That's it. That's another key factor that we have to gain more knowledge about and become more aware of when we are actually listening instead of just speaking in advance or thinking about what we're going to say before the other person can actually you know say what they want to say. And so when you're dealing, like you say, with, it doesn't matter about what relationship. You could be talking to your kid, you could be talking to your boss, your manager, or your friend. um, Only way you're going to be able to understand what the person is trying to relay to you, you have to take time and just be still and listen to what they're trying to say. So communication is a number one factor, and I will also say being able to listen to what the person is saying as well is another key.
Thank you. I definitely agree with you with the listening, because if you're not, to me personally, I think the listening aspect of it is more important than just as important as the delivery. Let me say it that way. I'm not going to say more. I'm going to say just as important as the delivery. You know, um, you have to listen to be able to understand and process and understand and feel what a person is saying. If they're telling you, hey, you're making me feel a certain way or whatnot, you have to be able to emphasize, first listen to be able to emphasize to what they're saying. You know, today I was, I was told something that touched on some of the things that we were saying, because we were speaking last week and saying, and people were asking different questions. Like I said, that we had a hot box jumping off, and I was enjoying it. I'm not complaining. I was enjoying it. I was on all platforms. I was getting responses from different people. But the main thing was, one of the questions that was asked was, when does a person say, okay, enough is enough, I gotta let go and whatever, this and that. I personally feel that there's no answer for any, no one size fit all answer. Let me say it that way. Each person has to um, look at it from whatever circumstances they're going through, and that's a decision they have to make. I apologize about that. That's a decision they have to make on their own. But I heard a person say today that that some people were on a dead end road. You know, and at first I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what they said. To be honest with you, they went over my head. And this person here is very knowledgeable, but they're not sophisticated at all. But they're very, very knowledgeable. And here I am thinking that, hey, I have a lot of credentials. I've been to school and I've done this, and I spent a lot of time reading all these books and educating myself to prepare myself for the world. And a person that came and brought a different type of intelligence to this equation today by telling me that, hey, y'all are on a dead end road, and what they're saying is it's not going nowhere. If you're on a dead end road, you stuck, you stop, you can't go no farther. Y'all are not going nowhere. So at that point, people have to make a determination of they're going to turn around and go back the way they came, but that is a form of progress. Whether they're going to make a left, they're going to make a right, because it can't go forward. you know so with that being said, I want to say that we can never say when it's enough for the next person. You can only say when it's enough for you. And I've learned that you have to do what's, it may sound selfish, but you have to do what makes you and everybody else involved in the situation comfortable. You can't just be appeasing one person and then you're not feeling comfortable, you're not happy, you're not, none of that stuff there. So again, you have to evaluate that and you have to make that determination. One of the things I said before was, I look at relationships as an investment. Whether it be a friendship, a business relationship, a personal relationship. I look at it as an investment. And in an investment, we put money in and we're looking for a return. We're looking for something back. And if it's not giving a return back, we analyze that investment, we may hold on to it. So, hey, it may take a turn down the line, so let's hold on a little bit. And we're hoping that it makes that turn. But when it doesn't make that turn, then we're faced with that decision of, do we have to cut this investment and move on? I apply that principle to relationships, and encourage people to apply that principle to relationships, because if you're not getting something out of it, whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, or whatever, then it might be a bad investment. So again, I just wanted to share that with everyone. I appreciate everybody for coming again. For the even Mr. Maurice Clifton, I'm glad you came because I'm gonna definitely get you to speak. But um, Miss Foster, that was my what I wanted to share. Would you like to take us into add to that, take away from that, add say something different, or take us into the next phase of emotional intelligence?
Well, I can add to that. Investments, I can understand what you're trying to relay in that area. And also, what we have to realize with investments is always an up and down phase.
Right.
So you're going to see ups and downs, ups and downs. So it's best to invest for the long haul and know that these ups and downs are going to come as you continue to just wait on your investment to pay off, because it doesn't always pay off right when you think it should pay off. And so when it goes down, are you going to jump off and say, well, hey, that stock went down, so I'm going to just sell and get out? Not knowing that in a couple of weeks it's about to skyrocket and go back up again, and you back up for another ride. So every situation is different, and like you said, you can't tell a person how long it's going to take, how long they should, go before they decide that this is the end of the road. Only that person would know, and, but you have to be aware that you're going to have some up days and you're going to have some down days. But if you made a conscious commitment to stick with something because this this investment has potential to pay off in the long run, then you may endure the ups and downs until you actually be able to reap the benefits of your investments.
Well put, Miss Foster.
Okay.
You make me have to add on to that.
Okay.
The thing about that is an investment. This is just what me putting my money in to an investment is only a part of the pie. That's
Mm-hmm.
only one ingredient of the pie. There's a whole lot of forces and stuff that's working behind me putting my money in for my money to grow. I'm saying if I'm the only one that's working or doing something, then it might, I might have to reanalyze that, but I definitely agree with you. If everybody's working, that's the key thing. If everybody's working, because relationships require a lot of work.
Yeah.
If everybody's working, then you endure the wave. Like you said, nothing is, relationships. I read somewhere that said that the relationships are work. There's they are, I haven't seen a relationship yet. That it's just smooth and it was never no work. It was just smooth as possible. I haven't seen one yet. So I definitely understand what you're saying and definitely appreciate what you're saying because you made me look at it from a different perspective. Um, but definitely definitely have to ride that wave out and do what you have to do. Now, my question, I would like to move on to, and we can come back to that if anybody wants to. I would like to move on to relationships with your children. Let me say that, because when you have relationships with your parents, we're going to keep that respectable. If you was raised in a respectful way, you're going to keep it respectful. I don't think that there's anybody that I wouldn't think that anybody that would say that they are being disrespectful or not communicating the proper way to their parents. But with the children, I'm going to say the same thing. But I think that the way they receive the messages sometimes that we give to them, it's not received properly, and or sometimes they may not be given properly. We just give that you do as I say, not as I do type of mentality, which is a bad way of delivering your message.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the communication with your children as well is very important.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, your relationship with your children is very important, and a lot of times I know myself being a parent, going through situations with my kids. Um, I realized that they were saying sometimes they would say the same thing like you're not listening, and I wasn't, because I was too busy trying to tell them, which I know I kind of know what's best for them, but you have to allow them to express themselves and to be emotional about whatever they're feeling, and to know that they have a space that they can come and share and be authentic with you about their feelings. And us as parents, sometimes we just have to sit back and listen, because a lot of times when I listen to my daughter, I realize she's more intelligent than I think she is. Like, who is this lady? You know what I mean? So we have to give them the opportunity to express themselves. Uh, for example, like Miss Harris, I gave her a compliment about how she deal with her children and how they are always free to speak freely to her. And I thought that was so good that they can actually express themselves openly and be able to tell her how they feel, even though she may not agree with it, but they feel that they can actually speak openly and express themselves freely to her. And just seeing that, I was just like, wow, because I grew up in like a controlled environment, like you said, hey, you better do what I tell you to do and don't worry about the rest. And that's what we've been wrong about when raising our children, because they are people too. And they do have their own opinion, and they don't, they think they know everything. And, we may know what's best for them, but being able to express how they are feeling can take the edge off, what's going on with the situation. If they feel like, hey, I can go talk to my mom, I can go talk to my dad about, this situation I'm dealing with at school, and just let them be able to be vulnerable and be able to express how they feel to you.
I think that allowing them to express how they feel is very important. I think what's even more important is hearing, being able to hear what they're saying with an open mind, opposed to saying, "Hey, I know what's best," or "I'm the parent and you have no voice." But being able to hear them, um, with an open mind is is even more important, because a lot of times, like you said, we don't think that the kids are advanced or intelligent enough to express how they truly feel.
Mhm.
But I've learned over time that the best person to express how they feel is that person. you know um and it takes that for, the bad part about the expressing things, though, Miss Harris, I mean, Miss Foster, is, and everyone, not just you, Miss Foster, but the bad thing about express is how it's received. Because sometimes people receive things based on their personal experience or their on their belief system. So when they're expressing it, that person may not receive it in the way that you are trying to express it, and that can be difficult. That's why I say we have to listen with an open mind. We have to put aside the fact that, hey, we're the parent, we are adults and stuff like that there, and this shouldn't, you don't, just do as I say. We have to put that aside, not only in with children, but everything.
Yeah.
This, I'm going to say this and then and let you talk, and then we have Miss Lisa has her hand up, and she had it up for a while. I was hoping her arm get tired and she'll put it down, but she kind of strong, I see. So, but let me say this, that I realize that a lot of people, when they're asked a question, go back to their personal experiences. And one of the things that I like about this is we are bringing different perspectives, different experiences, so we can look at things from a different view. You know, um, but again, we have to sometimes, when we're being told something, step outside of the box of what we're accustomed to, and say, okay, well, what are they really trying to say? What are they really doing? Opposed to just automatically equating it to, okay, well, this is what happened when I was a kid. That was, for me, that was 17 years ago, because I ain't nothing, but I'm still a younger. But for some, that might have been a little longer. So what happened a little longer may not apply to today.
Mhm.
I'm gonna let Miss Lisa unmute yourself, and then and give us your.
Can you hear me okay? Kind of went. Okay. You know, I'm thinking about when I came home, when I was incarcerated back in 2008. And my children at the time, my youngest was 17, which is still a real, man, a real age that you got to really talk to them. And I got girls, I have daughters. Yeah, so, you know, I think for myself and somebody else may be going through this. When you're coming home, you have all this stuff you want to get done, all this stuff you want to get yourself together. You never want to go back to prison ever, you know. And we forget. I forgot honestly, to slow down and say, hey, what about my children? What are they feeling? How are they feeling? And come to find out, as years went by, my children for a long time were very afraid that mom was going to go back to prison. So, there's, can you say, for someone like myself, and I personally don't think that fear ever goes away with your children, honestly. Um, do I just keep talking to them? Do I just say, hey, let's do lunch, make sure everything's okay, mom's okay, you're okay, what would you suggest for people that are coming home that have to remember that our children go through it?
Yeah. Wow, Miss Lisa, just knowing that about you, and your experience, going to prison, I know that was something that you really had to deal with. That was a tough experience for you. Um, so with your kids, having that fear of maybe mom might go back one day, um, I would suggest that you let them know that I am committed to you, and I'm committed to myself, and I'm committed to my freedom, and I'm not going back. So if you put it out there in the universe, I'm not going back, and let your kids know it's not going to happen. Why? Because I'm on a different path now, and the path that I am leading doesn't lead to prison. So it takes time for them to, process, mom's home, and, she's not going nowhere. And as you guys build y'all bond and become closer together, like you say, take them out to lunch, just try to take their mind off of the past. This is now. Now is all there is, and we going forward. We're not going backwards. And I am committed to you guys, and I'm committed to being here with you. And I might not, I can't, I'm not, I know you can't say you're going to live forever, but one thing you can commit to, that you're not going back to that past and that person that you used to be. And
Right.
it just takes time for them to see that, hey, mom, she's committed. She's on a totally different path now. And as time go by, then, they'll start forgetting about, they won't never forget the past and what they went through, but it'd be more easy for them to just go on with life and not be afraid. See, they got to let the fear go, because love conquers fear. And so the love that you're going to share towards them, and letting them know that I'm going to always be here for you guys, then that fear will eventually dissolve and go away.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for saying that. And if I could add one more thing,
Take your time.
um,
Say what you got.
could
Say
could you,
whatever you got to say, Lisa.
and I'm saying this in a way that I know all the people I talk to, they're coming home, or when they get home, there's people that leave their children as babies and come home to adults, and they really love their children. And now some people may think, how, that's kind of strange. They're in prison, but they do love their children and they want a relationship with their children. So how do you what would you do as a first step? What would you say to a person that's holding on to every word you're saying right now? They're watching, thinking, I'm going to use and I'm going to take the steps to build my relationship with my children. It may be their child, it may be their mother, it may be their sister, or their wife or husband. What would what I mean? What would be the first thing? Because it's kind of hard, and honestly, to talk about it at first. I mean, is what would you suggest?
I mean, basically, you can only take one day at a time.
Mhm.
And with taking that one day at a time, like you say, like you just said, um, committing to building and having a relationship with them, making the decision that I want to have a relationship with my family. And take the pressure off ourselves. You know, people put a lot of pressure on each other, you know, and it's hard to, you know, meet up to people's expectations all the time. But my advice to that person,
Mhm.
okay, my advice
I'm
would,
sorry.
yeah, I thought someone
I'm
else.
sorry. No, there's a message saying they can't hear you for some reason. I was trying to figure out why. I
Okay,
don't know.
can you guys hear me?
Well, no. Oh, no, the people viewing. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But I would just say take one day at a time.
Okay.
Now is all there is. I can
Mhm.
do what I can do right now. And if you're making that decision to build a relationship with your family,
Mhm.
build not just you. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying based off, you know, the people that are experiencing those type of setbacks after coming out of prison and being able to, you know, trying to build a relationship with their family. So I would just tell them to take one day at a time and take some time to reprogram themselves and work on themselves before, you know, they can actually like try to force something on someone else for its relationship wise, and just be open to you know, the process, just taking one day at a time.
Okay, now Kevin Haynes is watching and he says he's going through this right now with his adult children. You know, they don't forgive him. But he also says for some reason, I don't know, Mr. Jones, but he's having a hard time hearing us. I don't know. They could be on his end. But so I just wanted to make sure I said that you know, on my live here. But thank you. Thank you so much for responding.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I wanted to add to that. I wanted to say that I also have children. I have a daughter and a son, and you know I was gone for the majority of their life because I was in for over 20 years. You know, so that being the case, when I came home, there definitely was a gap. You know, they don't misunderstand me. They love me. They acknowledge I'm their father and things, but they still had emotions and feelings behind me not being there or missing certain things and stuff like that. And you know, I would say initially when I came home, I might have been a bad listener because I came home with a goal or a plan, and this is what I was trying to do, and you need to fall on in line and let's get the rolling, you know. And you know, so and that, you know, doing that, coming home like that, I wasn't listening to what they're saying, and it took years for us to get. We're the better place. Me and my daughter, who was the most bitter person out of the two, were we at a better place than we were when I first came home. But there is still, and I've been home 5 years, almost 5 years, over 5 years. And there's still some friction and some thoughts and things, you know, because, you know, at times I feel like they feel like I owe them something, you know, because I've been gone. And then you have the thing where you did more for this one than you done for that one. So there's a lot of things that goes on in their minds. But like you said, Ms. Foster, you have to just work on it. It's like one step at a time, or building something one brick at a time or one stone at a time. And over time, things will change.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
I apologize. So I'm what Miss Harris has she got a hand up. You want to speak, Miss Harris, or unmute yourself, please.
Well, I wanted to speak on when you guys when Lisa asked a question about children and dealing with kids after, the person has came out of prison. And I want to speak from my experience with my husband. He had an older daughter. I want to first say that his parents did an excellent job in help raising and being there for his daughter. His daughter was in the top 10 in her class. She had a scholarship from college. She was doing very well. But it was something about that father love that she was missing. And as a wife, what I did, I took the role, I stepped back because I knew her and her father needed to bond. And I said to myself, I'll wait. I know it will come a time that she's going to need me and I can be an impact in her life. And that's what I did, because I raised 3 kids. But when we're talking about the person who's coming home, like Mr. Jones said, most people are focused. They got their agenda. I lost this time. I got to do this. I got to do that. But the one thing that I felt like his daughter wanted, she wanted her one-on-one time with her father. He would always say, well, come to the shop and sit with me. And I would tell him that may not be what she wants. She may want to go get a cup of ice cream. She may want to go to the
She
movies.
froze.
Who? I'm froze.
Well, I hear you on this end.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Lisa? Can you
Yeah,
hear me,
now I
Lisa?
can. You froze. You
Yes, I
froze for a second. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I don't know
You're-
what part
you're
I left
okay.
off. Okay.
The line. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, the point that I was making is that sometimes with the kids, we have to get off of our agenda for a moment and see the need of the kid. And sometimes when we give them that little time or what they're asking for, like Ms. Foster said, by listening, if we listen, we can give them exactly what they need. And all it is that they want you to fill the gap and have that time with them to learn who they are. Most of the times they love their parents. So I just wanted to add that comment.
Thank you. There's no question that, everybody in that equation loves each other. The children love their parents, and the parents love the child. They are one, so there's definitely going to be some love there. Definitely that. But there's also going to be some challenges there. And I have to go back to the analogy that Ms. Foster used. You got to understand it's going to be ups and downs. It's going to be some days where y'all are just happy, ecstatic, just having the greatest time in the world. And then it's going to be some days where they seem like they hate you with a passion. And you have to take the bitter with the sweet sometimes. But I just feel that it's important that you, whenever they get into the modes, that you hear and you listen at what they say, so you can understand and emphasize where they're at. And if there's some changes that needs to be made by the parent, then they be made. I'm not for being the child's friend, but I can be a friend to you at sometimes, but I'm going to always be your parent. So I'm not going to, and I don't believe in, I'm telling you, do as I say, instead of do as I do. I don't believe in that either. But I feel that we have to listen, even on all facets of this emotional intelligence, you have to receive the message, which is listening, and I like I said, we may be formulating a response or looking at what we're looking at before we even get there, and we have to stop that. Would you like to add to that, Ms. Foster?
Yeah, that's true. Formulating opinions before the person has even completed what they're trying to say to you. And so, yeah, you have to take time to listen so you can be able to understand what the person is actually the message that they're trying to relay to you. That goes back to the definition of emotional intelligence, and I would like to read it. So emotional intelligence is the ability to identify your own emotions and the emotions of others, and to use that information to guide your behavior. So if you feel like, your kid may be kind of emotional, going through, their process with, feeling the way they feel because, a parent been left years ago and now they're back in their lives after going to prison. You have to just, like Mr. Jones was saying earlier, you have to be able to allow them to go through the process, and also be able to communicate with them that you're there for them now. You're not leaving. You're there, and to reassure them that you're gonna commit to beginning a new relationship starting from that day. You can't go back and change the past. You can't go back and redo what happened in the past. Only thing you could do is move forward. And by showing them love and giving them, like Miss Harris said, that one-on-one attention, you'll be surprised on how the relationship can start building and forming. It's just gonna take some time. And so, okay.
I'm sorry. No, I completely agree with you. I agree. It's going to take time. especially if they're small children. And then, even grown children, even though, they're all grown up, but sometimes I don't feel like my grown children look at me through their grown people eyes. They're still looking at me through their children eyes, and I think that's what happens a lot of times. It's really unfortunate that people, myself, other people have went to prison, and their children have been left, in a sense. But it's something that we have to deal with. We can't push it aside. We have to deal with it. You have to talk about it, and you definitely got to take time and make sure, put that on your list, to just kind of let's check in with the kiddos. Let's make sure they're okay. Along with, let's check in with our elderly parents, and make sure they know. I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think that for myself, when I was incarcerated, it put that seed of doubt in all my family members. So, sometimes I think it's good to go ahead and reassure them that, hey, everything is a-okay. I think that's it. And communication, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but for myself, if it's hard for me to communicate with you, I'll write it down. I'll write you a letter.
Yeah, that's good.
Is it?
That's a good way to do it. Yes, of course. Because sometimes we can more express how we feel by writing it down on paper. And then they can be able to read without interruption on what you're actually trying to say. Because, when you're trying to have a conversation, sometimes we interrupt each other. But when you write it down, they're able to go, by themselves and actually read it, and, to better understand exactly what you're trying to say to them. So that's a good way to do it. Yes, that's an awesome way to communicate. It is.
Right. Did you have something to say, Mr. Clifton?
I was
I'm
Yeah,
looking
he
at
always
his
got
face.
something to
Really?
say. He
I'm looking
always
at
got
your
something
face.
to
I'm
say.
sorry.
I was just about to say, Mr. Clifton has a lot of good points. He talked about this with his communication with his children while he was in prison.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, my relationship, I have a unique story because, I often tell people when I was incarcerated, I had one son, my baby boy, he wasn't even walking when I went to prison. And so when I got out, my first year out, he's a college graduate. So you think about all the time I missed. So I had to literally raise him from behind bars. He wasn't even, walking. And the thing was, my three sons by my wife, then my oldest son, I always wrote them letters and sent them books. I always fed their need. And I always encouraged them to try to be their own individual person. And I know that incarceration was hard for them and for myself because I couldn't be the total father that I wanted to be, to mold them, to help them, to show them how to play basketball, the small things, to teach them how to tie their shoes and stuff like that. So I had to literally raise my kids from behind bars. And what I did was I tried to plant seeds of positivity into their lives, hoping that they would germinate and would grow. So I always did that. I couldn't, I let them know I had rules and boundaries, even as a father from prison. And that's the thing I always did, with my kid's mom, I always set boundaries. If they didn't get their grades, they couldn't play the game. And I know my kids would say, man, how this dude in jail telling me what to do and stuff like that. So, and so it was kind of funny. We talk about it now, we got a good relationship. I have a good relationship with all my sons. And I always made sure that even though some of them had, different mothers, that they knew each other. So I would encourage the mother to have them to call each other so they could know each other and they can know my family, not just their maternal family, but to know my family. And so it was hard. It was hard trying to survive inside of prison, but I knew that the need of me trying to be the best father I could from behind bars was saving my sons from repeating the steps, following in my footsteps. One thing I did, I made sure I shut the gate behind me. You know what I mean? I shut the gate behind me so that they couldn't follow me. And that's what I do now. So it's not just my kids; it was my nieces and nephews too. I have a little brother, man. I call him my little brother, who's on here now that I invited. I invited him on. His name is John Parrish, man. I really thank him because he's like a little brother to me. But since I've been home, man, he's helped me. He's been instrumental in me regaining my footing. He's always been there. He's taken me to the airport, man. He's done things for me, man, that it's just, I hope that it was because of who I was before I went to prison, in spite of what I was doing in the street. So I always tried to be, a father figure, and a big brother, not just to my kids, but to my nieces and nephews and to, kids in the community. And so I just think that there's so many guys get caught up with the prison life that they don't take time to write their kids. They don't take time to reach out to their kids because, like Erica say, kids want attention, man. Every little girl wants her father's love, and every son wants to be like his dad. So I didn't want my kids to have that option to be like me. No, be your own individual person. Aspire to be something better than me. I can give you advice and offer you advice, but in the end, I can mold and I can kind of guide you. But you're gonna have to take those steps and don't be afraid to fail, in spite of where I am. And the one thing I did, I see so many guys, parents tell, "Oh, my daddy's at work," and I know I never lied to my kids from day one. Hey, daddy in prison for selling drugs. This is what happens when you do the wrong thing. I'm the consequence. I'm the example of what happens when you do the wrong thing. All that in college stuff, and I never glorified prison to my kids. When they came to visit me, we didn't talk about prison. I wanted to talk about their grades. I want to talk about their sports. I wanted to know about them so I could see into their mind and see where they were going and what they were doing. I think it's imperative when you show interest in when they know that you care about their interests, then they're going to seek to how can I win your approval or to be better when they know that you're watching them. Kids want accolades too, not just my kids, all kids. So many kids get distracted to the streets because lack of attention at home. Yeah. Somebody in the streets is giving them attention that they're not getting from a father or a big brother at home. And so I just think that's just key. But great points though, Ms. Foster, Erica, and everybody.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I definitely agree. I want to say that it's definitely challenging, a challenging situation. So you got to have a lot of patience. And I, unlike yourself, Mr. Clifton, I was one of them people that initially lied to my son. And that's when I realized how intelligent he was, because he was a toddler. He was 5 months old when I got incarcerated. But I want to say he's like 3 or 4 years old, and he came to see me. And when he came to see me, I was in the county jail, a real county jail, not the one that they have today. I'm talking Mayberry County Jail, and they had the visitation. The visitation booth was like a cage, and you had 2 benches on each side of the cage, and you had a phone in the middle. And they wouldn't let him into the cage because he was a child. And what ended up happening was, every time that door opened, he was trying to run into that cage to get to his father. And they kept telling him no. Different family members would tell him no. And then when he left there, he told his mom, "My dad not in school. My dad in jail." So when he came the next day, I had that talk that I should have had with him from initially. I had him with him then, but after that, everybody understood and where I was at, and we just had to work from where I was at. And like you said, I always encourage everybody to communicate. My son got to meet his sister, and they spent some time together because they lived in 2 different states. But like I say, coming home, because my son was closer to me, I saw him more. I was able to build a different relationship with my son than I was with my daughter. But now it's like the roles have reversed. Now my daughter, stays in contact with me more than my actual son does. He stays in contact, so don't miss it. I say he doesn't, but the relationship's a little bit. He's a little bit more saltier now than he was when he was coming in. His expectations, both of them expectations are high. But I just encourage people to continue to just work it through. You can't give up on your kid. You can give up on a lot of things. That's one area you can't give up on. Go ahead, Miss Riley.
Now, do you think, and this is a question for anyone, Miss Foster, you too, a lot of us come home PTSD. Do you think that affects the dynamic in trying to build that relationship? How hard would it be to explain to a child that you spent all that time in prison, now you're traumatized? It's gonna affect your relationship in some sense, I would imagine. You come home and you're trying to get yourself together, and now you got to focus on being the perfect parent.
Well, that's good. So sometimes people do suffer from PTSD, and that's where becoming self-aware of what triggers you. As you start on building a relationship with your children, like you said, sometimes you just have to be open with them and say, hey, I've been through a lot of trauma when I was, in prison. And they probably would better be able to receive, what you're saying to them, because they're understanding, hey, mama, she been through a lot. But when we try to be the perfect parent and we don't show them that we're vulnerable and that we done made mistakes and we then did things that we're not so proud of, or been traumatized, then they just look at us as being perfect people. And so it's like hard for them to relate to us because they're thinking we're perfect. So just be open with them. Like, yeah, I've been through some trauma, and it's gonna take some time for me to process everything that I've been through. And so as I'm going through my process, again, I'm committed to building our relationship. So sometimes I may get triggered by things that may upset me, and my emotions may get out of control. But just know that that's not normally who I am. Who I am is, a loving mother that wants to have a relationship with you guys. But sometimes I have to deal with the things that I've been through, and I may not process everything the way, they want you to process it and to respond the way that they expect you to respond, because they're looking at you as a perfect parent. So again, you just have to take the pressure off yourself. And it goes back to being aware of how you feeling, and just take one day at a time, and just be open with them about about your emotions and about your traumas. And you might not want to tell them everything, but just let them know that I've been through a lot with my prison experience, and sometimes it still bothers me to this day. But I'm committed to you guys, and I'm committed to our relationship. And no matter what we go through, I'm gonna always be there for you.
Thank
I
you.
think one of the things, James, Lisa, and everybody, Nikki, and everybody, is that, like, I'm gonna speak for me because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to talk about some of the things that I've been through in prison, especially with my kids, because I want to leave that part of my life. I want to leave it behind me, but I can't leave it behind me because there are so many men and women who are in prison wrongly and unjustly incarcerated. And so uh, I made a decision to, like, take the job to go back into prison and work. So many people say, man, like, why? Well, why would you do that? Because I understand where a lot of guys now, you know, what they're going through. And it, for me, it's been therapeutic in two ways. It's therapeutic in that I'm helping them, and it's helping me to always keep where I just came from, you know, in my rearview mirror. Because if you don't, if I don't want, I don't want to say I can't talk about it. Sometimes it's painful to talk about it because I lost so many people, along the way, and I'm still trying to find ways to deal with that on a daily basis. That's why we talk about emotional intelligence. Sometimes in the Black community, people think that because you need counseling, that something is wrong with you. They got this stigma. We have this stigma in the the Black community where we can't accept counseling. If we accept counseling, then something is wrong with us. But I've came to realize that if you don't get counseling, that you're only one thread or one fiber away from really breaking. You know what I mean? Like coming from like where I came from and coming from probably where James came from, in the sense of who we were on the streets, and then going to prison and like not necessarily not saying becoming somebody, but being an influence where we were mentors inside. Because this is not something that we just came home doing. This is something that we did inside. We mentored and helped people while we were inside. But in helping people, I haven't been able to really take time and look at like some of my emotional dysfunction. You know what I mean? And I haven't really had that chance. Like sometimes, like I told I told my sons, I finally told my sons, I used to have panic attacks when I first came home, especially like, when I used to be in large crowds because, when we're inside, we have to be conscious of everybody that's around us, that's coming towards us, that's behind us. And your senses are so heightened to everything around you that it takes a toll on you. When you come home, you just can't clip the cord and not be that person anymore after 20 something years. You know what I mean? And so, sometimes my dad say, hey, my son, I used to be, when I went to Indiana with my son, when I went to the checkout, I had to actually just walk outside. I had to walk outside because, I started hyperventilating. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people around me and I feel like in my mind, I can't watch all of them. But then, he just like, but he, I talked to him. We kind of like had to talk to my son, Michael, but not the other one because they hold me in such high regard that, they can't see that. But he's the one, even though I should sit all of them down because of COVID, I really haven't got a chance to get all of them together where I can sit them all down and we just talk about some of the things that I went through, while inside, and it takes, and that's hard for any man to admit. That's known for a father to admit to his children, but that's some of the things that they need to know so they can help you readjust, and I've had friends, Canez, John, everybody to help me readjust. Just to ride and talk. Sometimes you need people to just ride and talk to that you can vent to. And it's been hard trying to get back on to reacclimate yourself when you coming from having everything so effortlessly before you went to prison. And now you get back out, you're struggling to get back on your feet. And everybody is so used to you being, I tell people this all the time. People only remember you from how you were before you left the streets. So the streets expect that same person back. You know what I mean? And so if you like me and Lisa and James have made a conscious effort to change inside, and Jerome to change inside, we come out a whole different person. You know what I mean? So that past image is shattered. You see what I'm saying? Within us, but the society don't see us like that. They're expecting that same person. My kids are expecting that same person. Like some of my kids were old enough to know when they used to, stand up and help me count money all night. You know what I mean? So they're still thinking in their mind that, oh man, Dad still, he got it and everything. But I struggle from day to day. But I don't put my struggles and worries on everybody else. I just I get up every day and I fight to get to the next day. So I don't know. It's complicated, man. And you like I said, emotions are tricky, man. When you bear all, you make yourself vulnerable, but in making yourself vulnerable, you make yourself stronger. You find strength in doing that. So it's a two-edged sword. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that, brother. It's always enlightening. I'm going to say as well that I'm going to say as well that
You talking to me? Oh.
I want to say as well that when we come out, we have so many plans. We have so many things that we want to implement. And because of that, we hit the ground running. And that's a good thing in one sense, but a bad thing in another sense, because like you said, we don't take the time to evaluate ourselves or do an emotional evaluation of where we at and stuff like that. We just take off running, trying to accomplish goals and fix things and make things happen because that's what we think we are, fixers. But at the same time, I think that it's important that we do a daily self-reflection, not only about what we accomplish on our goals, but as far as where we are emotionally, so we can stay in tune with ourselves emotionally and stay in tune with others emotionally, because we come out and we kind of rough around the edges. We may mean well, but I've been told that I'm direct and I'm blunt and my communication is harsh. That I talk, when I talk, some people perceive it as if I'm talking down to them instead of, talking, to them. And I tell them, no, it's not that. I just have low tolerance for for games or bull crap or whatever the case may be. And I like to give you a direct answer and move forward. So you know again, we have to in this communication thing, we have to learn. This is something I adopted from my older brother. We have to learn the language that person we're speaking to is speaking. When I say that, I'm not speaking of English, Arabic, or nothing like that. I'm just saying, what do the words that they are using mean to them? Because that word may mean something different to me. So it's important for us to learn their language so we can not be offended when they say something that we deem as offensive. You know, and I struggle with that a lot because I say what I mean and I mean what I say. Now the next person may feel the same way I feel. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. But my communication might might be a little, I'm not gonna say better, but I just look at things a little bit different. I take words literally, where they not using them literally. I'll give you an example of something that transpired. Somebody was telling me, hey, you don't do nothing. And I'm saying, but I do this. She said, I'm not saying this, and I'm not saying that you just don't flatly do nothing, but I'm just saying you ain't doing nothing. But to me, nothing means nothing. But obviously to them, nothing means something different. So it takes time to understand what that person's language is and its effort. And it goes back to what we said, that work. So that's the things that we have to keep in mind when we're dealing with somebody else or we're speaking with someone else, that we have to understand what their language are, and then we can listen to what they're saying, receive what they're saying, and then respond in a way that's not negative. Any comments, Miss Foster?
Yeah, what came to my mind is we have to learn people's style of communicating. Like you have a different style. You're more blunt, you're more forward. So that's your style. And then, somebody else may be different. So learning how, someone communicate is learning the way they communicate. Everybody doesn't communicate the same. So pay attention to their style of communication. And so by you learning their style, sometimes you might not get offended as much because like, hey, that's how Mr. Jones is. That's how he communicates. That's how he talk to people. So you have to also learn the way a person communicates. And not saying it's always right, but I'm sure you mean well when you're speaking to them, but your style is just different. So once we learn somebody's style, then we'll be more able to receive what they're trying to tell us, and we'll be able to listen more to what they're trying to say.
I definitely agree with when you say the style, and learning the person, and that's important for both parties because again, you know I've learned that I'm often, how can I say this? I'm not going to say misjudged, but I'm going to say, people give me a perspective. They say, okay, this is the way he is. I'm always deemed, let me say it this way. On my job, I have been told that people thought I was arrogant until they actually got to know me. And I tell them I'm not arrogant. I'm just confident. I know what I know, so I go in there and do what I'm supposed to do. And then I go about my business, and because I have low tolerance for the crap, I'm not into sitting down and we gossiping or talking or doing none of that stuff. And because I'm not participating in the things that they deem as normal, what's normal to them, then I am thinking I'm better than them. And that's where the word arrogant come in at, and I'm saying that, I'm not going to change that aspect of me, because that's not a bad trait. That's not something I'm going to change. But if I was speaking to somebody and I'm just belittling them, for no sense, then I would change that. I would have to change that. So please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But I'm saying that it's important though, Miss Foster, that we as both people that's communicating with each other understand. I use the term personnel. You said their style. I say personnel because I need to understand how Miss Foster's communicating tactics are. So like you said, I don't be offensive. But some of us, when we don't take the time out to want to learn the next person's style of communication, we feel like that. My style is the only style. My style is the best way, and whatever the case may be. I struggle with being communicated to certain people because certain things rub me the wrong way. Even though I've been home 5 years, certain things rub me the wrong way still. When people are saying that's that prison stuff, and you just because you thinking like you're in prison and all that stuff there, you're not in prison no more. That's offensive to me. you know that's offensive to me. But I'm saying, just because you've been doing it this way for 20 years and it appears as if it's been working, doesn't mean that it's the easiest way to do it. And yes, I tell people, I'm not arrogant, I'm confident because I took 20 years of studying. I for 20 years I done something constructive every day. That don't make me no better than nobody, but I'm just saying I learn what I know. So, I'm not being arrogant, I'm being straightforward with you. This is the way it is. This is, and some people appreciate it, some people doesn't. But at the end of the day, we have to have two people that's willing to take the time out to learn each other style so they can have an effective conversation. And today, when you're meeting people, only above average people can instantly analyze someone and say, okay, this is the way that they the best way to communicate with this person. It's not like a coach who has a long period of time to understand all 52 of his players or how many players on the team. When you're going into a work environment, you have to learn that person instantaneously. Which is, and that's why I say above average people, because everybody don't possess those skills to be able to do that. And it's not no one fit all type of scenario, but I encounter, and I'm saying this, and I'm not going to continue to go on, monopolize the time, but I encounter a lot of people that's not learning how to communicate with each other or not willing to take the time out to learn the next person's language. They shut down halfway in the conversation and say, this is what it is. And this, it's take this or get on about your business. I'm more of the guy. I'm gonna take the alternative. If you give me an ultimatum, I want the ultimatum. Give me the ultimatum. That's the type of guy I am. I may be wrong for this, but if you tell me if you don't do this, I'm going to do this. And I'm gonna say, okay, well, go ahead on and do that there, because I'm not doing that. But if you would have asked me, hey, can you do this? I might have done it. The high probability I would have done it. But again, if you know me, then you'll know not to give me no ultimatum. Because I'm gonna take the ultimatum. But if you don't know me, you may shoot that out there, and then we're still we don't need to be at. Go ahead. I don't know who that is. That's not Foster, but Miss Foster. That's the way I am, and I just feel that the communication is important. Again, we back to this: the communication, the receiving, the listening, the way you deliver. Because I can't speak the same way to everybody. I understand that you got to use wisdom sometimes, and you got to know when to speak. Some people I can just jump in their face and yell at them and say, "Hey, man," and it makes them get get more into what they're doing. And then some people, I have to stroke them and say, now, you're the best person in here to do this job, but you ain't showing me that right now, man. What's going on? You the smartest person in here. I have to, use a different approach, like you say. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. Principle applies to those children. You have to learn their personality. You have to learn their style of communication, and you have to, and then you have to apply it.
Yeah, I think people need to be consciously working on their emotional skills, consciously working on it, like paying attention to the test that's going to come that may trigger you emotionally. And so, as you are trying to improve on your emotional intelligence, you may experience some tests. And when I say tests, is maybe your spouse, people at the job, they may come and just kind of test you on what you've learned. Okay, so when you become consciously aware of, hey, I'm going to start working on my emotions and I'm going to pay attention to how I respond to people. Because it goes back to, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. So once you become aware of making the decision to consciously work on yourself, pay attention to those tests that's going to come up, because you're going to get them to see whether or not you're ready to pass to the next level or not. It is not to destroy you, but it's to teach you how far you done came. And so when sometimes you're like, well, oh, I think I did good. My cousin, she called me. She she was, trying to get me all aroused or whatever in a conversation. But you know what? I handled that differently this time. I decided to say, hey, I'll call you back later. Maybe we can discuss this at a different time. So when those tests arrive to basically test us on what we're consciously deciding to do, then just be aware of that. And if you do fail and you do, blow it in the conversation or whatever, forgive yourself, because nobody's perfect. But once you forgive yourself and you can move forward and say, well, wow, I saw what I did wrong in that situation. Now I'm gonna go back and self-reflect on the conversation that I just had, not dwelling on the situation and just, thinking negative thoughts, but self-reflecting on your response and what you were feeling during the time. So once you're consciously uh, aware of, this is how I responded to this person, and I think I could have did better, than I did, then most of the time that can kind of help you next time when the tests arrive. So, okay, well, here they come with another test, but I'm about to pass this because I ain't about to get in the drama. So just be aware of, those triggers and those things that may come about to test you to see, okay, are you really ready to become emotional intelligent? So I feel like, just be aware of, things that may trigger you, to maybe not pass those tests.
Here's the $1,000,000 question, Miss Foster. So where can people get help at to work on their emotional intelligence skills?
Well, you can get help with a life coach like myself. You can get help by going through therapy. Like Mr. Maurice said, in the Black community, there's a stigma about going to therapy because people think, okay, if you go into therapy, then something is wrong with you. 9 times out of 10, something is wrong with you. Respectfully now. Because when I went to therapy, it wasn't because I thought I was all that. I knew something was wrong.
Right.
So if you be honest with yourself and say, you know what, something is wrong, and I need to go and talk to somebody. Right. I look at therapy as like all our lives we've been putting trash in us. Like all our lives from growing up as kids, we may have experienced different traumas, different words that people have said to us, different experiences. So we putting all this trash inside of us. We just taking it all in. So I look at when you go to therapy, it's like you dumping all of that trash back out of you. You talking about it. You releasing those things of the past. See, I didn't even know it was trauma until my therapist said, "Oh, you've been through some trauma." I was like, "Wow, that's what it was." So then that's when I became aware of what trauma was. Like, wow, I really have been through some things. So I mean, we have to get out of the idea that therapy and getting help from others is a bad thing, because we do need help. We've been a lot, I mean, 95% of the people on this planet been traumatized in some type of way. It may not be as major as others, but you have to go and get assistance sometime. You may have somebody that's in your family that you may can talk to, that can inspire you. You can, maybe get a mentor that can help, you know, build your confidence, and be able to listen to, whatever the things that you've been through. But people need to go and seek help. They need to go and get all of this stuff out of them, because when you just keep all of these things on the inside, it eventually shows in your behavior. A lot of kids been traumatized, me myself as a child, and in my behavior as an adult. I didn't know that's what it was coming from, but that's where it was coming from. But I didn't know that until I actually went and talked to somebody, and they explained to me, okay, so that's why you responded. That's why you got this issue, because I could see the pattern that you experienced as a child. So therapy, getting a coach, getting a mentor, reading books about your situation. I mean, going online, doing research. When you want to heal from something, you're going to go look for something to help you heal from that situation. And so I wanted to be healed. And so therefore I sought out the help that I needed, because I knew I had an issue. So people know they have issues, but they don't want to deal with it. So you gotta consciously want to deal with that issue, and and make a decision that, hey, I might need to go seek some help from somebody else. And so I feel that a mentor, a therapist, a life coach, somebody that you can trust, reading books on the topics and the subjects that you may be dealing with, researching online, you know, all those things could be tools to help you better understand yourself at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, it's all about who we are and becoming self-aware of what's going on within us.
Um, Thank you for that. And based on that, I have to ask: are you taking any more customers? Because I know you are a life coach, and if so, how can they reach out to you? I would think that location doesn't matter, because we have Zoom, so we can do virtual, or you can do virtual meetings with people in privacy, because you don't have to post it, or run it live. You can just do it in privacy. You don't even have to record it. But I would like for you to give your information if you're taking clients, for people to contact and speak to you on, because you're definitely a knowledgeable person, and I definitely people can benefit from that knowledge. So I definitely would like to for you to give your information, if you don't mind, but however you would like to do it,
Yeah.
or how they can contact you.
I meant to do that last week, but right now to the end of the month, I'm offering a free 15-minute consultation. So they can go to my website, which is theoracle8.com. And they also can email me at theoracle8@yahoo.com. And we can schedule an appointment. Like you say, we could do it on Zoom, we could do it over the phone, whatever they feel comfortable with. So again, they can reach
Okay, so it's the Oracle 8, the Oracle8
.com.
.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's your website.
It's my website.
And the Oracle8 at yahoo.com.
Is my email that they can reach me at if they want to schedule an appointment.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll definitely post it. What I'll probably do is do a post, and just put your information on there, for if anybody that's my friend on Facebook or something like that would like to contact you. I'm gonna put it so they can have that. And I'm going to throw this out here, kind of put some people on the spot. Support. We have to support each other. And that being the case, we have to put our emotions aside, and our big eyes, little you, and come together. That's why I was asking that some of the ladies that's on this platform start a women's support group in different areas. I really would like to see that happen. I really would like people to be flexible with their schedules, because that's something that's actually needed. I know that everybody's on here is willing, and I know everybody on here have different life situations, but we have to find a way to help each other get better. We have to do that. You know, I'm gonna get with Mr. Clifton, and you know, honestly, other than Mr. Clifton, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Clifton's younger brother, Mr. Parrish, there's no men on here. You know, I'm not upset about it, you know, because women are the first teachers. You know, so I'm not upset about it. I guess I was surrounded by some great teachers, you know, but I'm saying that we both need to come up with some groups so we can get into some confidential life personal issues and help each other, support each other to get past them, because there's nothing new under the sun. You know, I always say, even when I was in the inside, it's the same role, just different a role player, same script, different role players. I said that wrong. You know, so what you've been to, I've been to, so to speak. You know, and you may have went through it first while I'm going through it now, so you can give me some advice and enlightenment on that. So I ask that the people that have been connecting and trying to make it happen, that you know, spark that back up. And I really would like to see that happen. And Mr. Clifton, I know he's, he's always game for things like that there. So we'll get together and we'll try to come up with something. Now with that being said, I would like this. Is there anybody that would like to have any questions or anything for Miss Foster before we close this podcast?
Yeah. You also James, Sarah's a life coach too, so I like her to give her information.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sarah, to know that chilling is
Hidden in the bush.
being quiet, huh?
Come up out them bushes, Sarah.
Oh, you had to do that, Tammy, didn't you?
Yeah.
I was enjoying sitting back and listening to everybody tonight.
Yeah, but you got she can't get everybody. Nikki can't get everybody. It's enough to go around. It's enough nuts to go with all the screws that need.
I actually back in January became a certified therapist here in Mississippi. So that was a pretty big deal for me down here, because I was up in New York until a year ago. So it took me a year to actually get certified down here. But I do, I am always available if anybody ever just wants to reach out and just talk about life.
How? Where?
You can find you can message me. My email is Parchman Project, PARCHMAN project at gmail.com. I do have a website, parchmanproject.com as well. And you can find me on Facebook, Sarah Jane. And also I do have a Facebook group, Parchman Project.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna post yours information as well, and I considering that y'all are life coaches, I want to, and correct me if I'm wrong, say that it's not only just emotional intelligence, it's any area of life that a person may need some assistance with, that they can reach out to these ladies and actually, actually get some assistance in that. And I definitely appreciate what y'all have done. And someday I'm gonna follow y'all footsteps. That's one of the things on my list to accomplish, to get a certification, the life coach. But time restraints, like I said before, I got to slow down and start living life and enjoying life with the family, because I've been away from the family, being away and then coming home and being away, meaning not just working and trying to accomplish goals and not spending time with them doesn't help them in any form or fashion. So I got to do that there. I definitely appreciate you ladies for doing that. And I hope that some people reach out to you and we can go, and they go from there, because we need to support each other. With that being said, is there anybody else that have anything to say before we join this end button to my finger?
Hey,
I will be
Hey,
reaching.
Mr. Jones, I want to say that the conversation today was really great. I love when we venture off into the family and the kids. I didn't know that I had an emotional tie to that. Mr. Clifton, you got this started. So I really think, some more conversation need to go with that, especially with people who have experience. So great job, guys. I love the conversation and I think it was much needed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clifton. Anybody else have anything they want to say?
I would just like to say too, it seems like Ms. Foster and I have a mutual love of emotional intelligence. So, I would love to get together with you, Miss Foster, and see, how else we can, maybe do some collaborative work to help.
Help people. Yes.
Okay, y'all, I'm taking it y'all have each other information since you put it out there. If not, I can give you some time to type it on the chat so y'all can write it down.
I would like to write it down. So if you could put it up there for me.
I think an emotional intelligence group would be real good, stemming from here. And we can always come back, every now and then and just do a show on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
So are you saying that we do it? Are you saying that we do it like this on a Sunday, or are you saying that we pick another date and just say, okay, this day, this time, this is what we'll do?
Well, I was hoping that Sarah and Miss Foster could get together and create a group, a Facebook group, sort of like Lisa has Breaking Silence, and just to invite people in just to see. And then maybe we can come back, we can go from there and to see how it's needed, how we can discuss some topics or some, they can come up with some topics and we can do it. Yeah, back here on a Sunday, definitely on a Sunday. We always got to, do our advocating and stuff like that, but we always got to come back and hit home like Miss Harris say. We got to do a segment for the kids because the children of incarcerated parents are some of the most, and I don't mean to disrespect dysfunctional kids because kids are brutal and kids tease children of incarcerated parents. You know what I mean? So they go through a lot, man. They go through a lot. And, I see it all the time, man, since I've been home. And even with my kids and stuff like that. All kids, man, your daddy in jail. You know what I mean? So they have to carry that. They have to carry that. So we definitely got to come back and do something for the kids, man. You know what I mean? But we also got to
do that. One thing about it is that we have a great group of people on the panel, and they bring a vast amount of knowledge to the platform. It's not a problem, but we have to work out how we're going to fit everything in because already me and Ms. Harris, we have in Lisa and everybody comes up with different topics, and we have like topics for the next 3-4 weeks, that we want.
3 or 4 months.
Okay, so I'll be generous, bro. But we have topics lined up because we're having different people that's coming in with things that's helpful to everyone. So I am definitely would like on board with you and would like for them to do that. But I'm not trying to get you to do it to cut into you making your living. I'm not trying to do that. But we do appreciate when you can come on and anything that you can do to help the people. Might be, if you haven't thought about it, go into a nonprofit, so you can get some, so you can pay yourself a salary and that way people don't have to pay you because a lot of people that's coming home from prison, let me say it this way, don't have the means or the funds to be able to afford your services. So we have to be creative in the way that you get compensated for your time, so that's what that is. Also, for the ones that already have nonprofits like us, we can also pay you to do something like that, virtually or not virtually, or in person. So we just have to be creative and do it. But I definitely would like to see it happen, as Mr. Clifton said. So y'all think about it. You geniuses think about it, and and then we'll get back together on all that there. But we will come to the kids situation. I want to tell everybody thank you again. And once again, is there anything else anybody would like to say?
Mr. Jones, if you can text me or email me Mrs. Sarah's information, and then you can send her my information as well.
Okay, so I will do that.
Yeah,
I will do that. So you want me to give her Oracle 8 or your actual your email?
Yeah.
Your email, and what else would you like for me to give her?
Yeah, just give her the email that you send me the invitations, the invites.
Okay.
Yeah, give her the email address.
Okay.
Mr. Jones, to make it easier for you, just have both of the ladies to email you their information so you can send it to.
Forward it.
Stop. Yes, so you won't work yourself.
That's why I told you. I ain't got no problem being on here with all these ladies, because they show appreciate it. Everybody got my email address, right? And let me do this right quick. For the ones that don't have it, there it is. So thank you, Miss Harris. Because I was trying to figure out how I was gonna get you to handle that for me. Ask you to get you to handle that for me because that was a lot of work. But hey, I appreciate you. I gotta say that there. We're gonna go ahead and close because for time restrictions, we're gonna go ahead and close this. I definitely appreciate everybody coming on. I definitely appreciate everybody's input. Miss Foster and Miss Scott, thank you for y'all skills and y'all expertise for sharing it with us for no fee. And we love y'all the big heart that y'all have that to say that hey, y'all want to help people and stuff like that there. We definitely look forward to seeing y'all. Please don't be a stranger just because we're not having a topic that you still welcome to come and be a part and voice your opinion and say what you have to say because it's not only the Reinvention Center, Sale Mississippi, or Breaking Silence podcast, it's the people's podcast, it's everybody's podcast. So we come in and we accept topics from everyone. So with that being said, I want to say thank you again to everyone for attending, everyone for contributing, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you.
Right.